guys, what's up? It's the Chinchilla Notebook here, and today's video is going to be on the October Q&A video. So I'm actually really excited to do this because I love Q&As. I love answering your questions that you leave me and all that. So yeah, Merlin's on his wheel here, so he's not coming out. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Merlin, wanna come out? Say hello? Wanna say hello? Yeah. I got a ton of questions and I just wrote them all down on this paper. And so I thought I would have to film several videos in order to get enough questions, but it turned out the one video I filmed telling you guys about the Q&A, you left me so many questions, and I'm really happy about that, and I love filming these. These are my favorite besides cage tours, so yeah. Also, I just want to add in here that this is my second time actually filming the video because I filmed it just now. I filmed a 17-minute long one, and it would not publish to YouTube. Like, it was the stupidest thing ever. I spent a long time editing it and everything just to find out that it won't even go on YouTube. So I have to refilm this, and I'm going to try to keep the answers really short and not give too much information because that's going to take too long. But basically, I'm just going to be reading them off this. So let's just jump right into the video. My chinchilla always wets his head on his water bottle. What should I do? So my chinchilla's never had this problem, but what I recommend you do is lift the water bottle high enough so that they can get to it to drink, but they can't like tip it over or get their head underneath to get it wet. And also keep it away from ledges or huts so that they can't climb up and access it from above, and just to drink out of it like normally. They'll have to stretch a bit, but not too much. The next one is, so I might be getting a chinchilla and I'm afraid during the winter my house will be too warm. Help. So I was scared about this too as well last year, and like, you know, every single winter I go through the same stress mode, except now I'm not as stressed, excuse the mess, because I was just going to tell you guys, if you have your chinchilla in a separate room from the most of the house, or just like in a room, turn off the heat vent, like just take the vent and flip it over. Mine's actually, the heater's in here, but we don't keep it that warm. So ask your parents first if you can keep the heat to a lower temperature, because already the house is going to be pretty chilly. But if the cage is away from the heater, the actual heater, it's going to help a lot. And this is for me, but if you have an older house, usually cold will seep out from the windows even if they're closed. So I just keep mine like right next to a door, and cold still seeps out right here onto the tile to keep it cool. Are chinchillas messy? Yes, chinchillas are very messy. Merlin, I cleaned it this morning and Merlin already pooped. They make a huge mess with the hay, the poop everywhere. It gets really messy very fast. I want to get my chinchilla a partner, but I'm scared that my chin will reject the other one. So what should I do if they fight? Well, I've never had two chinchillas together, but what can I tell you is to bond them very slowly. I have done research into this. So just bond them very slowly at first and get them used to each other. And always know that there's always a risk they can start fighting, so monitor them very closely once you move them together. And if they do fight, separate them immediately and give them enough time to, you know, recompose themselves. You definitely don't want your chins getting into fights and injuring themselves or killing each other. So just take the process very slowly, and if they still don't bond, just accept that your chinchillas just can't live together. So the next question is, how do you get Merlin in the cage after you let him out? So sometimes Merlin just jumps out of his own will, or I let him out, and what I do is when I want to bring him back in his cage, I will just, when he's out in the open space, I'll just, you know, hold him like the way a chinchilla is meant to be held, and not grab them, just hold them so that their bottom and their legs are supported, and then put him in the cage. I never grab Merlin when he's underneath here or behind stuff. I always get him when he's in the clear and he's accessible because I don't want to hurt him or scare him. When did you get Merlin and where? So I got Merlin about 2 years ago in 2015. In November it will have been 2 years. I got him, I'm not proud of this, but I got him at a pet store because when I got him, it had been recently since then that my chinchilla had died, and then a couple days later I went and got this chinchilla, and I still was not very educated on the proper chinchilla care. So if I would change something, I would probably go to I would go to a chinchilla breeder from now on. But I did get him from PetSmart, and I don't regret it because I love Merlin, but I do wish that I had gone to a breeder instead of a pet store because I don't really like to support them as far as buying animals. How much was your cage and where did you buy your cage? My cage was an extremely good price. It was $180. I'll just have you know that Critter Nations are usually $400 to $500 where you can find them. But mine was on a crazy sale. It was around the holidays, so I got it for a really good price. And I got this off Amazon, and it's just a Critter Nation model 162. I really, really love this cage. I've never regretted getting it since. Do you use pee pads in your cage? And also, how do you clean chinchilla pee from the fleece? I do use pee pads, but it's not for what you would think. I use it to hold the hay when he pulls it out of his hay sack. I just leave it down there to catch all the hay. It makes cleaning way easier. And as far as cleaning the pee, I wash Merlin's fleece, like his fleece liners, once a week. They have an absorbent layer underneath, and I just wash them once a week to get the pee all out, and that's what works for me. I know some people wash them twice a week or 3 times. I just prefer to do it once. And the more chinchillas you have, the more often you're gonna have to clean them. What are the benefits of having a chinchilla over a rabbit? So I don't have a rabbit. I've never owned one. I've certainly done my research because at one point I did want a rabbit, but I can just tell you from now, I don't want to say anything because I don't have a rabbit. I never have. But I can just tell you that a chinchilla is smaller. I mean, there are dwarf breeds, but for the most part, chinchillas are smaller. Their cage is not laid out on the floor. It's more like tall. So I guess that can save space for the cage. I've heard that they're less smelly than rabbits, but I'm not completely sure about that. And that's all I can help you as far as that, because I don't have a rabbit. The next one is, did Merlin ever chew on the cage, and do you have any suggestions on how to stop my chinchilla from chewing the cage bars? So this has been a very commonly asked question, and Merlin has never chewed on the cage bars, but my other previous chinchilla has. And what the reason for that was he would get bored all the time, and that's what he would do. And so what I recommend you do is get some toys for them to play with and be interested. I'm not just talking about the basic chew sticks and whatever you can find. I'm talking about interesting, eccentric ones that will get their mind boggled and get them thinking about how to do it and interested, and keep a ton of them all over their cage. This way they won't get tempted to chew the cage bars, and if they do, it's not necessarily bad unless they are breaking or damaging their teeth. In that case, you should definitely, ask your vet or somebody. There's even online websites and articles that you can read on help with this. Recommended wheels for chinchillas, because I know many can be dangerous for them. I actually have a whole video on this that I will link down below. It's very important that you get the right wheel, and the Chin Spin and Silver Surfer, I've heard, are very good wheels for chinchillas. So just check out the link in the description box if that will help you out. The next question is, what is your advice for anybody who gets their chinchilla when they are not too young, and how should they connect with them? So it's kind of vague. I don't know how young you guys are talking about, but I would just say take it slow, bond with them, and depending on their past, because some of them might have been abused or not taken care of properly, and depending on their past, just be very gentle with them and respect their boundaries, and that's just how I can tell you to bond on them. Oh, he almost fell off his ledge there. So the next question is, what should you do if your chinchilla bites you? And has Merlin ever bit on the cage? And my chinchilla does. What should I do? So my chinchilla used to bite me all the time. He used to be very aggressive toward me and attack me. And part of this is because he was territorial. And what I did was I stopped touching him for an entire week. When I went to clean his cage, I would clean it quickly. If he came, I would take my hands out of the cage. I would not touch him, I would not pet him, give him any attention. And Merlin, being as social as he is, by the end of the week, he was so thirsty for attention that he stopped biting me and attacking me, and that's what worked for me. But if chinchillas nibble you sometimes, it's not bad. And maybe one of the most reasons for chinchillas biting you, if you have if you're used to giving them treats with your hands, they'll get used to your hands always having treats, and they'll bite you if they want one. And maybe a scent on your fingers can trigger them to get angry or something. I don't know much about that. Hey, was wondering if your first time chinchilla owner, is it best to get a baby one or an adult one? Well, in my experience, I prefer getting baby ones because they're a lot easier to bond with. Like I said earlier, adult chinchillas have come from a past, and if they've had a previous owner or they were mistreated or something like that, they can be a little bit tougher to crack inside. But that's not always the case. Sometimes older chinchillas are very, very sweet and very accepting and easy to bond with. And sometimes younger chinchillas are harder. So it just depends on you as a person and the chinchilla as a chinchilla. So as for a beginner though, I find that younger chinchillas are a lot easier because you're the first owner, you're the first one they have to live with and get used to. What is better for chinchillas, bedding or fleece? Care fresh or fleece? So for me personally, I like tile and fleece. I used to use bedding all the time and I really hate it because it makes such a big mess and it's just not practical for me, and cleaning it, it's just a pain in the butt. So I like to use this and it works best for me, but it's different for a ton of people. Personally, I've heard people who hate fleece, and I cannot believe that, but they do. They hate fleece, and it's hard to imagine, but it's just different for everybody. So as far as Care Fresh, never go for Care Fresh because it is a paper-based bedding, and chinchillas tend to chew on a lot of things, and if they get it in their stomach, a big paper wad is gonna, wad up in their stomach and ruin their intestines. So don't do that. Stay away from Care Fresh. I actually have a beddings video that I will try to link down below so that you guys can remember that and check that out, because it's very important that you use the right bedding. But again, it's just preference. As long as you use a safe kind of shavings, it's just preference. And I'm about to get a chinchilla, so I'm wondering what should I do for the first month while they get used to everything and whatnot. So just try not to handle them as much. Let them adjust into their cage. You don't want to elude them from any attention, but you just let them slowly get adjusted. Don't rush things, and get them used to you and your scent. Get them used to your voice and taking care of them. So yeah, I don't know. Merlin was very social from the very start. Can you do a face reveal video, because I just want to know who's taking care of the chinchilla so good? Oh, well, thank you about that. But as far as doing a face reveal video, I've gotten some questions on this, and the thing is, I'm just not so keen on that, because when I started the channel, the main thing is Merlin. He's the main attraction of this whole thing. I want to focus it on him. And I understand about your curiosity about who I am. I know I would be curious. I used to be curious about who was behind all the pet channels that I used to watch. But the thing is, it's not just only because of security reasons. I just don't want to show my face. So hopefully that is understandable. I just want to keep it on Merlin. I don't think it's vital for me to show my face or necessary. And if I don't have to, I would rather not. So yeah. What good fleece can I buy for the Critter Nation? Basically any fleece out there. There's not that many. I use anti-pill fleece and blizzard fleece. So how do you make his cage liners? By the way, I love your videos. You should upload more. So I actually just buy a yard of fleece, cut it to the correct size with the hole and everything, and then my grandma sews it for me. She's really, really good at sewing, so I let her do it, and the stitches are literally like a sewing machine. They're amazing. I don't know how she does it, but that's how I make my liners. I could probably do a video in the future when I make the next liners. As far as uploading, often I'm crazy busy right now. My schedule is packed, so I don't know about that. So that is it for the video, guys. Sorry I didn't go into depth on them. My last video was super, super long, so I didn't want to make this one long because that one wouldn't upload on YouTube. Sorry for the lateness in this one. It's like late Monday night. But that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it useful. And yeah, so Merlin's so cute, and he says bye.